Thank you for joining us for our seminar. And tonight's topic is important. However, we're not here only to get more information, but to actually do something different so we could live life in a different way. So with that, we'll get started right away. Our practice mission statement is to provide the latest and most advanced technology on holistic health and life care. And our catalyzing statement is to inspire people to live extraordinary lives so they can be a beacon of hope for others. What does that mean to you? To inspire?
Being the best you can so you can be an example for other people.
Right. It can be, you can't be the light if you're not expressing light in life. So, this is from Time Magazine a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that? Said the secret killer, inflammation. The link between heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases. So if you look at behavioral factors that are associated with those diseases, there are biomarkers for inflammation that you can measure. So for example, if you have increased body fat, you have more inflammation. If you smoke, low physical activity can lead to inflammation as well. Poor aerobic fitness, if you don't have good cardio, not enough fruits and vegetable intake, sometimes you have to supplement to do that. And also omega-3 fatty acids are critical when it comes to lowering inflammation. So historically, the diets that people used to eat were more natural and more anti-inflammatory. And the chronic and degenerative diseases were really uncommon at that time. So most of us ate mostly vegetation, and we had to hunt for the food that we used to have, right? Animals now, though, instead of eating in the wild and grazing, they end up doing what? What do? They eat grains, right? And so when they eat grains, then it creates inflammation in the system because you are what you eat. Now, historically, again, if you look at the anti-inflammatory diet, it was mostly fruits, nuts, and vegetables, and when they can get it, they had lean game, wild fowl, eggs, fish, and shellfish. More natural stuff. Now, the majority of food that's pro-inflammatory are cereals, especially genetically modified. It's moving here, sorry. I have to fix a timer on that one. It's on a timer. So cereals, grains, soy, sweeteners, fats, and fatty meats, and also fruits and vegetables are really small portion of it. So this is kind of a joke, but after David from Italy came over here, and it didn't look like we used to anymore. So there's an essential nutrient that everybody has to consume in order for you to have anti-inflammatory, and that's called omega-3 fatty acids. They make up part of your cell membranes in every cell of the body, and you have to basically take it in order to incorporate it into your cells. So the fatty acids can either promote or reduce inflammation, right? There's two types of them. The pro-inflammatory casinoids are omega-6s, like sunflower oil, cottonseed, all the seed oils can create inflammation. So omega-6s, omega-3s are anti-inflammatory casinoids, and a good source for that would be fish oil, wild game, grass-fed, green vegetables, flaxseed, and chia seeds. The ratio should be between 1:1, 6 and 3s. You need both, but it should be 1:1. So omega-6s, if you look at the ratios here, for example, if you eat fruit, it's 3:1 ratio. Vegetables is 1:1. But as you get down lower here, it's just still good. But when you start, then omega-6s are too much. And that where they come from is mostly from grain-fed fowl, grains, potato chips, and seed oils. So all those things are inflammatory, that and then you don't really feel it right away, but it accumulates and creates inflammation in the body. So the pro-inflammatory eicosanoids stimulate platelets or white blood cells to clump and block blood vessels. And you'll see that here as an example. This is basically the cell, the extracellular space, and when you have the eicosanoids here, the activated platelets, they actually start messing up the endothelial cells and inflames it. So you'll see if we have omega-3s here, you can see that they're not activated, the platelets, and they don't inflame the inside of your arteries and soft tissue. What else does omega-3 do? It decreases pain and inflammation, it decreases platelet clumping, and also it increases vasodilation. So instead of doing, blood thinners, omega-3s can help with that, and that's why we muscle test everybody for that. Multivitamin increases your energy and it lowers free radicals. It's important to have that. Dr. Ames, he says no matter how well you eat, if you don't take a multivitamin, it creates all kinds of micronutrient poor refined foods, especially if you don't eat really cleanly. It messes up the mitochondria and messes up DNA damage and chromosomes as well if you're not getting proper, because your body can't repair. So vitamin D also lowers pain and inflammation as well. And again, you need to be eating cleanly in order for you to get proper vitamin D levels. So 2,000 IUs is usually your maintenance dose. If you want to increase it, you get it up to 4,000, and 10,000 IUs is safe upper limit. Blood tests usually can tell if vitamin D levels are optimum or not. Magnesium is important too. You increase energy, lowers pain and inflammation. And again, that's the stuff that we muscle test you guys for when you're here or during your visits. So what's the big thing about cholesterol and heart disease? So cholesterol, if you look at the basics of it, so it's used as a substrate to produce adrenal hormones. It's necessary to maintain immune function, and it's a glue that holds the lipid cells together. When the cell membrane becomes leaky, when there's not enough cholesterol, and it also affects chronic illness and cancer. And what the statin drugs do, they actually poison enzymes to block cholesterol production, and that's why they have to check your liver periodically to do that. So here's the major pathways here. LDL, so cholesterol, goes into the hormone called pregnenolone, and it breaks down into progesterone, cortisol, and it also breaks down to DHEA, which becomes your estrogens and testosterone. What happens when you have high stress, that's chronic stress over time, what's called pregnenolone steal, you then shunt the cholesterol to pregnenolone, to progesterone, and the cortisol. So then you don't produce enough of the estrogen and the testosterone because of the high levels of stress that's constant over time. And that's why it's really critical to make sure to understand the mechanism, because if you don't understand the mechanism, you'll just try to make it simple and you end up paying the price for it. And the whole thing too, you have what's called the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. It's a very complex system where the gut doesn't work right, the adrenals don't work right, and it starts to affect the thyroid, so the whole mechanism becomes out of balance. It's really critical to understand that. So why are cholesterol meds not recommended? Number one, they reduce CoQ10. And CoQ10 is an enzyme used for energy production in the body and for cellular respiration. Number two, it reduces K2, protects your arteries from calcification. If not, plaques could actually worsen. Also, if you look at Journal of Oncology, cholesterol-lowering drugs, including statins, have been found to be carcinogenic. It actually produces cancer. Number four, it actually contributes to blood sugar issues, diabetes, and it also contributes to Alzheimer's. These are all studies that are well documented. Number six, they don't work. So this is an insert from Lipitor. Can you see this? And it reads in here, it's kind of blurry. It says, it can help lower cholesterol by this average. But if you look closely in here, it says, not for pregnant women or nursing mothers. It says here, it has not been shown to prevent heart disease or heart attacks. And it's right in the insert there. So, and number 2, it actually produces atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries and heart disease. And that's actually in a paper in expert reviews in clinical pharmacology. And it says statins stimulate atherosclerosis and heart failure. And it shows you the pharmacology. So again, the body is intelligent. It does what it's supposed to do. When you shortcut it, look, drugs only do 2 things, right? And you're not supposed to take anything long term. When it comes to medication, it's only there to save your life for short term use, 3 months at the most, right? So think about this. What are the mechanisms that drugs, how they work? Number 1, it either blocks a receptor, like an antihistamine, anti-something, right? Or it poisons an enzyme. So how long can you poison enzymes in your body and block receptors before you can get really healthy? Eventually, if the body wants to regulate itself and come to homeostasis, but if you block enzymes and produce, poison enzymes and block receptors, it's a matter of time that your body can no longer function and you have to pay the price. So how do you then reduce inflammation naturally? You have to eat an anti-inflammatory diet, you have to take supplements, you have to work out, and the most important thing is getting adjusted regularly because it helps the parasympathetic system be more balanced. And especially the way we adjust, we try to really do more functional neurology adjusting. If you can do that, you can get out sympathetic tone. High sympathetic tone creates more inflammation. So dietary goals should be more like the hunter-gatherer, polymeal, or a diet. And notice we underline traditional, right? Indian, Asian, Greek, Italian, Hispanic dishes prepared with fish, meat, fowl, and vegetables. Why traditional? If it's not traditional, what version is it then?
GMO.
Americanized version, which is more salt, more sweets, and so on.
Chemicals
on top of that, right? You have to be more, not add any more than what's already. So, in summary, multivitamins critical. We use anabolic labs, omega-3s, also 1 to 2 grams of EPA, DHA each day. Magnesium, 400 milligrams a day is an average. CoQ10, 100 milligrams a day. A good product that's a proteolytic enzyme that actually lowers inflammation is called ProEnz. You can take 2 to 4 a day. What I like to do is take 2 that before I go to bed and 2 when I get up in the morning with a big glass of water. And it really helps clean everything out. Proteolytic enzymes are protein, like Pac-Man. They eat inflammation in your system. Usually when you have a lot of that, then it really helps a lot. It's a big deal. And then by the time you eat, if you take that in the morning, it cleans everything out by the time you eat. Like during lunch, your system's much more cleaner that way. Here's what it's in there: turmeric, ginger, boswellia, rosemary, lemon bioflavonoids. They're all anti-inflammatory. It's all in one tablet, right? Anti-inflammatory spices. I've been doing that for years. So, nutritional supplements, again, in summary: multivitamin, omega-3, vitamin D, magnesium, probiotics, CoQ10, and also the anti-inflammatories that we just talked about. Here they are. And glucosamine chondroitin, if you have joint issues, and digestion would be like digestive complete, multi-enzyme, or HCl also is important to use. So one of the most important things is like the reason why we even do the support, the nutritional support, is because the brain and nerve system has to coordinate itself. When you get stress from life, physical, emotional, chemical stress, whether known or unknown, you get subluxations. And when you have these subluxations, it doesn't allow the body to repair properly. The messages don't get through. The expression of life is diminished, and it's not good. Because ideally, when you were born, you had optimal health and function. Then you get subluxated from life. Your nerve system becomes interfered with. your body malfunctions, then you lose your health, then eventually you have all these symptoms. But look how far down the line that is.
Yeah.
And that's why we never just adjust based on how you feel. We adjust the nervous system so it can be in a more adaptive state. Emotional stressors are important too. That needs to be taken into consideration. That's why we have the NET. Our next seminar is going to be the Orconia laser, healed by the light. Important to understand that. So any people online, please type in your questions. Also, if you found value and being inspired, please comment, like, share. And we're on Mariano Holistic Life Center on Facebook as well, and Dr. Dennis Mariano on YouTube, Instagram, and also our website. So, in closing, it's really important to be in present moment awareness, because as Dr. Joe Dispenza said, most of us unconsciously live in the past. And if you're not doing a lot of neuroemotional work, you will do it automatically, because now the body is running the mind instead of the other way around. And he talks about by the time you're age 35, because of the habitual patterns of abnormal adaptation, that we live in our familiar past, and then we fear instead of creating the future that we want. So an example of that, I remember a buddy of mine, when he turned 13, I said, "Hey, how does it feel to be 13? Guess what he said? Just 3 more years. So what happens when you're 16? Start driving. So he thought that at 16, that's when life would begin, because then you can now drive. Well, guess what? That wasn't it, right? So when I'm 16, when I can drive, then I'll be happy. That wasn't it. So oh, I work at a fast food place right now. I don't really like it. It's low pay. It's boring. When I get a real job, then I'll be happy. Oh, that wasn't it either, right? So, I'm lonely. I need a woman in my life, right? When I find that perfect woman, then I'll be happy. That wasn't it either. Oh, I need to go to college. When I go to college, if I get my degree, then I'll be happy. The challenge is most people die at the end of their life, never been alive the entire time they were here, because they were always waiting for that important thing to happen. Guess what? This is it. All you have is now. They say the past is a memory, the future is a dream, but the now is a gift. And that's why they call it the present. And so you can only live in the now. When you're regretting your past, you're doing it when? Now. When you're fearing your future, consciously or unconsciously, you're doing it now. So you can't change anything but be in the now. And that's why it's important to have faith, because regardless of your circumstances, when you have faith, you let everything go and allow God, universe, to take care of things. So with that, that'll be the end of our seminar. Until we see you again next time for our laser seminar. We also have a patient appreciation day coming up on March 20. We're inviting new patients to come and visit us then. Until then, we're going to end our seminar now. I'm Dr. Dennis Mariano. Until we see you again, have a good night.